Remembrance with a royal touch. The future king joining the tribute to Canadians who died in battle, touching those who lost their friends.
I lost so many of my high school chums. Some of them 6 weeks, air gunners 6 weeks after they got overseas. I could name a dozen.
This was a day, as always, for the veterans themselves. For a Silver Cross mom who lost her son to a suicide bomb in Afghanistan, and for an old sailor honoring shipmates killed at sea.
On the ocean, there are no crosses, row on row, to mark their final resting place. So this gives me an opportunity to kind of visit them in a way.
Yet the biggest crowd in years, drawn not just by ceremony and sunshine, but also by the chance to see Prince Charles and his wife Camilla. The prince in a Canadian military uniform alongside Governor General Michael Jean, wearing one too for the first time on Remembrance Day. And as he laid a wreath at the National War Memorial, echoes of the past. Amid even bigger crowds 70 years ago, his grandparents, King George and the Queen Mum, unveiled the new memorial as the world teetered on the brink of another war. And though the monarchy may be losing its luster with some Canadians, its presence today won approval.
Oh, I think it's great. Yeah, I'm a monarchist anyway. I love them. I love the royal family.
With Afghanistan top of mind, the royal couple also offered condolences on a base that has lost 35 soldiers, more than a quarter of Canada's casualties.
I do so understand what they must have been through, what they still go through, because of course, you never get over losing somebody ever.
And as hard as it is for a prince to avoid the spotlight, he tried to keep the focus on those who Remembrance Day is all about. Roger Smith, CTV News, Ottawa.
In Afghanistan today, Canadian troops also paused to honor their comrades. And they were joined by the families of 7 fallen soldiers who say every day is Remembrance Day to them. Defense Minister Peter MacKay was among the dignitaries who gathered with the troops at the Canadian base in Kandahar. And the families who had made the long journey from Canada had a powerful impact.
Your presence here makes this Remembrance Day that much more poignant, more meaningful, and maybe more personal for all of us.
Back here at home, those sacrifices were honored by school children in Kitchener, Ontario, who built a roadside row of crosses, each bearing the name of a Canadian who has died in Afghanistan. In Fredericton, a record crowd of thousands attended services at a cenotaph that was damaged by vandals earlier this week. Wreaths and poppies were laid at the spot where a giant granite cross had stood for decades until it was toppled. There's been an outpouring of support from the community, which is raising funds to rebuild. There was a much less traditional ceremony off BC at the site of a sunken Canadian destroyer. HMCS Columbia, which fought in the Battle of the Atlantic, was scuttled on purpose to create an artificial reef. Today, divers attached a flag from the Canadian Legion. And far above the Earth, on the International Space Station, Canadian astronaut Robert Thirst held a Remembrance Day ceremony of his own.
It's with humility that I wear this poppy, knowing that today, Canadian forces deployed around the world are striving to bring peace.
Most of the stories we hear on Remembrance Day are about loss and sacrifice and the horrors of war. Our next story has all of that, but it also has something you'd never expect to find in a battlefield: romance. It is the inspiring tale of a Canadian military couple and the pride they have in their country and each other. Here's CTV's National Affairs correspondent, Lisa LaPlante.
This is a love story that began in the dangerous dust of southern Afghanistan, the day Master Corporal Jody Middick stepped on a landmine.
It was dark, right? And as soon as I heard her voice, I realized it was her ambulance that had come.
The explosion was in January 2007, just days after Middick, a sniper, had met Sergeant Alana Gilmore, the medic who helped save his life.
Fate, or serendipity. what was hard was realizing who exactly it was on the ground.
Middick lost both legs below the knees.
A little bit of discomfort sometimes.
10 months later, back on the base in Petawawa, the pair met again and again.
I just see, a very smart, good-looking man, and I don't see the disability at all.
Now, the couple and their beautiful baby girl have become almost the poster family of the Canadian Forces. That's them walking in right beside the Prime Minister at a massive Remembrance Day event to raise money for other military families dealing with the complex costs of lifelong recovery.
Jody had both his legs blown off in Afghanistan. He's going back for a third tour.
So rather than give up, Jody Middick, the double amputee, has been doing double duty as a marathon runner, not just to motivate other amputees, but to pass the military medical required, so they'll send him back.
Some people, they look at me like, Jesus, why do you want to do that? I said, well, I've been a soldier since I was 17. What do you expect me to do?
I get it. I understand why he wants to go back. I'd be hypocritical to say no. Because that's what we train for.
And even after troops pull out, for this family, it's always Remembrance Day.
In 5 years, some people will be like, oh, hey, so what's your story?
A love story against all odds. Lisa Laflamme, CTV News, Toronto.
And around the world, there were a number of events to honor the men and women who made the supreme sacrifice for their countries. In London, the Queen and Prince Philip took part in a remembrance service at Westminster Abbey, and hundreds of people filled Trafalgar Square as the country observed 2 minutes of silence. Ceremonies in Paris saw French President Nicolas Sarkozy and German Chancellor Angela Merkel lay a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier. It's the first time leaders of the two nations have appeared together to commemorate each other's war dead. And Barack Obama took part in his first Veterans Day service as U.S. President. He paid tribute to America's war dead at Arlington National Cemetery. Now, you may have noticed that the moment of silence observed across the country today was actually 2 minutes long. Some ceremonies had only been pausing for 60 seconds, but last week, the House of Commons passed a unanimous motion asking Canadians to pause for a full 2 minutes. Turning now to other news of this day and an update on what officials call the second wave of the H1N1 swine flu pandemic. And clearly, it